Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. The figures on gender-based violence around the world are startling. Our focus today will be on women. At least 1 in 3 women have experienced violence in their lifetime. These statistics are from the World Health Organization. An interpretation of the statistic portrays that close to 1 billion women go through violence, traced mostly to intimate partner or family. In our local context, Cameroon, violence seems to be ignored or even accepted by many people, especially in communities where such violence is socially or culturally justified. The other day, the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family regretted that in 2014 alone, the brutal forms of violence left 67 women dead in our country. And she cautioned that those were the documented figures only, for there are many that are not brought to the public space. We are inspired by the current 16 days of activism against gender based violence to look at the global and local context. Then, as a panel, propose our quarter of contribution to mitigate an overbearing practice that dishonors the human dignity and the human race. This is Press R, and I am Kilian Dandifon in Yaoundé. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Press R, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of CRTV Production Center here in Balatu in Yaoundé. The topic for our discussion today is the fight against gender-based violence. Is it succeeding or failing in Cameroon, and why not around the world? Because every day we hear that there is one new case that is coming up, despite the millions and millions of associations, of countries, of governments that are activating the measures and laws to make sure that this does not go on within the human race. To talk about this topic, we have invited 4 panelists as usual on our set. Dinah Joyce Ngwang is a journalist. You're welcome, Dinah.
Thank you, Kilian. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to my co-panelists. And I hope that with this topic, we'll be able to enlighten one or many more Cameroonian women to be able to step out when violence sets in.
That's exactly why we've invited you here, a journalist, a female journalist, lady journalist, I should say. You're also going to tell us whether you face violence because of gender. We're going to come to that. We're going to introduce to you Mrs. Kamga Constance Difon, who is the CEO and founder of 300 Women Voices for Development. You're welcome to Press R.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Kilian. Good afternoon to Barista. Good afternoon to Joyce. And good afternoon to Karen. We are here for the debates, and I know it's going to be well.
It will be well. We want to squeeze out your contributions to fight against violence on women. And I know you're up to the task. You are the CEO, founder of 300 Women Voices for Development. And I know you must have been developing so many of them. After you, we're going to introduce Carlin Thompson. She is an IT consultant, and she also is a founder. She's the founder of Dunamis Helping Hands Foundation. Yes, we welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ndifon. Yes, and we are here to raise awareness on domestic gender-based violence, and hopefully by the end of this panel, women will get a grasp of what they need to do in case they're in that kind of a situation.
Also, men should know what they shouldn't do.
Yes. Both ways, it goes both ways.
Okay.
Yes, so yeah.
Yeah, thank you. You are based in Canada?
I am based in Canada, but I've been here now for 2 weeks and thinking of maybe making Cameroon a permanent place for me and just go back and forth. So thank you.
You're welcome. Now, our own barrister, Roland Panje, who is, as you say, Julie, he is a senior social worker. I introduced him. He has so many portfolios, but I brought him to the set as a senior social worker. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now,
And greetings to all.
thank you very much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, we introduce Press Review. It's our starter on Press Hour. Cynthia Saptala read the newspapers for us. Cynthia.
Cameroon joined the international community this week to observe the annual 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Newspaper editions like Cameroon Insider and The Post headlined on the subject, presenting grim statistics, also detailed in an article of Cameroon Tribune in which 25 cases of femicide were reported in the littoral region alone in the last year. The National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism dispatched teams to Canada, China, Saudi Arabia, and Cote d'Ivoire this week. According to The Horizon, the objective was to gather proposals on how to better promote the two official languages within Cameroon's diplomatic representations. In political news, Wednesday's edition of Cameroon Tribune headlined on the national platform for permanent consultations between ELECAM and other stakeholders of the electoral process to ameliorate the organization of elections. The Limbe City Council allocated the sum of 7 billion CFA francs to manage the municipality through 2025. It made front-page news of several papers this week. In The Sun, Paul Efome outlined areas of interest, one of which is the eradication of household waste along the streets of Limbe. Other stories of human interest were also reported by papers. Municipal Updates writes about the teacher who dropped dead in Kribi during class lessons. The Guardian Post publishes the statistics from the National AIDS Control Committee, which shows that 1,000 school children tested HIV positive this 2024, a week that culminated in the inauguration of the new National Assembly edifice, Saturday, November 30th. Friday's publication of Cameroon Tribune presented the new House chamber with its 520 seats, 4 committee halls and offices.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Press Hour. We're going straight into the discussion that we have today. Our topic is fight against gender-based violence. Success or failure this far around the world, and why not in Cameroon? We're going to know what is actually happening, knowing that as the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, 3 days ago, within the framework of 16 days of activism against violence on women, or gender-based violence, if you like, said, as we know, the documented figures in Cameroon in 2024 alone, 67 women brutally murdered. And we are told that some of these people, not exactly the 67, some of the women who face violence, the violence comes from the intimate partner, like husband, wife, like exactly a concubine, or some other a relationship that is intimate. And if it is not that type of intimate husband, wife, it is a family member, unfortunate. Now, we're going to look at the situation generally. What is the situation in Cameroon? Dinah?
Well, Killian, I would like to first of all note that when we talk about gender-based violence, it's not only violence meted on women and girls, it's also violence on men.
Exactly.
But since today we are focusing on violence meted on women, the unfortunate thing is that figures are not updated on a regular. We don't have the most recent statistics of what the violence meted on women in Cameroon are like. we are mostly based on the social media aspect of it, because the social media is what informs many of us, because in one click you can have this woman was beaten to death in Bafoussam, this one in the far north region was mutilated, this, that. So I was reading while coming here, Kafu Institute.
Before you
did
continue,
a
let
survey.
me say that probably there is a communication problem, because what I know is that things are documented in this country. Yes, go ahead.
Well, maybe
They might
there's
not communicate it the way they're
maybe
supposed
it does
to
not
be.
get to the
Yes,
public.
Exactly. You are
but
not
they
supposed to doubt, actually. It means that communication has a problem.
Yes, communication
Yes.
has a problem on these statistics. And I was reading one coming from the Kafu Institute that 1 in every 3 women in Cameroon has been a victim of gender-based violence, and that 15 women aged between 15 and 49, 1 out of 10 of them, that is 11%, was married before the age of 15, which is serious violence on the rights of a girl child. Among the women aged between 20 and 29, about 1 in 8 of them married before the age of 15, and 3 out of 8 women were married before the age of 18. Those are not yet adults. They cannot make decisions on their own. That is violence made. And these are just very few figures from what the global situation or the national situation is actually like.
Okay,
And
thank
it
you.
is very difficult to deal with.
Thank you. And I am going to go to the ladies who have foundations that take care of women affairs. Tell us, what are the kinds of violence that we actually know when we talk about violence against? Our focus today is on women. Give us, which are the types of violence that we have, beginning with you, Mrs. Kanga.
Thank you, Mr. Killian. When we talk about violence, we know about the physical violence. That is, we have situations like battery, like assault. Those are violence. We have psychological violence. We have, that one goes with emotion. That's mental, the kind of mental situation a woman will go through, or any person that has been violated will go through because of the violence, no matter the gender. Then we also have economic violence. Yeah, we have economic violence too. That is.
It's really very important. Imagine that you are a wife, we're talking about women, and then the husband refuses to give you money for the family, not only for yourself. I think that's what you're talking about, something like that.
That's violence.
Okay.
That's violence, because you have to start thinking on how you're going to feed the children, how the children are going to eat, maybe only for that day. And if there is no possibility of finances, we go back to economic violence.
Yes,
and it also moves towards psychological violence.
I am going to ask you, Carlin Thompson,
Yes.
who is the IT consultant, founder of Dunamis Helping Hands Foundation, to tell us, you are here as an IT consultant, what I've given, but you are also here as a victim of violence. Can you narrate your situation to us? Share your experience.
Yes, of course, because like my experience has helped a lot of women, not just me, because a lot of women go through this and they kind of feel ashamed to express that. I was married in my first marriage, I was married for 7 years, and I was in Canada. This happened in Canada, and out there the laws against domestic violence are really good, so my ex-husband abused. I went through physical, verbal, all forms of abuse, and during that time, normally women, when you call the police, they come and they pick up the man, but I did not do that. Instead, I tried to leave the province with my kids. I have 4 kids. So I left, went to a different province, and that's when I started my career on IT. And I empowered myself by going to school, did IT, got jobs. At some point, I had three IT jobs, So that made me create my foundation to empower other women. Because women, when we go through that and you don't have the means, you feel like that's the end. But I made it so that women would know that it is not the end. If you've gone through domestic violence, you can still get up, dust yourself up, empower yourself and your children. So Dunamis Helping Hands Foundation is my foundation, and that has empowered a lot of women. I've taught IT to over like 300 women and men, but a lot of women, like over 120 something women, have had jobs after I have empowered them, and they're doing really great. And Dunamis wants to come to Cameroon and do the same thing, not only in IT, but in other career paths. If a woman wants to become a hairdresser, we would try to do something to help them so that they are not left. Because Constance was talking about economic violence, right? Women, if you are economically powerful, you can help your children, and help others also. So that is why Dunamis wants to help empower women. If you want to learn to do nails, we can help you do that. If you are in a situation right now that you don't even have food,
They should connect with you.
Connect with me and then
Yes, but I will not let you go with the explanation.
Okay.
When it happened, you avoided the police.
Yes.
Yes. It's simple to say, and where you were, it probably was easy to do that.
Yes.
Here, let us contextualize it, because the people you are addressing here now, Cameroonians, it would be very difficult to carry children, and then some other things, and go somewhere and just, start off and go well. So, you will not advise people to just escape instead of trying to solve the problem first.
First things first, I am not an advocate for divorce. I would like for you, if this happens, right, I'll not advise you to just get up and leave.
Yes.
You try to mediate, like get somebody to mediate, talk to your significant other, and see if you guys can resolve it. But when it comes to physical, women have lost their lives. When it comes to physical, I seriously advocate that you leave that space for that time first, because life is more important than any other thing. So if it's physical, then you leave temporarily.
But you should go to the police, the gendarmerie.
We don't have that system.
We have social welfare. We have some other in Cameroon. Yeah. Before I'll go to the social worker.
Yeah.
What should be done? Senior social worker. Should you just get up because you are battered physically? You have experienced that violence, and then you get away. What should you do?
There are some parameters and paradigms to contextualize the justification in that what you are passing through might be what you bargained for, because you did not take ample time to study your partner and to understand his idiosyncrasies and tradition on certain issues. That said, Killian, it is not that marriage is a panacea or relationship, because violence can emanate, as mentioned, from your significant others, that is your closest persons, intimate partner, and even the community and environment can inflict violence on you. It is not just that you have to leave the environment when it's too hot, but you should go for a settled environment. In Cameroon, we have safe spaces. We have shelters that can cater.
Do we?
Yes, we do. And
Tell
we
us
have
where they
hotlines.
are.
I'm
Lack
coming
of
now.
communication.
Tell us where they are. That's what we're saying. That's the
In
person
every regional delegation in
of
Cameroon,
of delegation of
Social
women's
affairs.
empowerment and the family,
yes.
they have a safe space.
Okay.
It is for a short time so that the bad air of the violence should pass. And then, during that period, they try to broker, arbitrate, mediate, and try to conciliate the parties. Thereafter, you can go back to your residence or abode and continue with life. We equally have services attached to some of our law enforcement offices that can provide, that provides assistance to such victims for the time being. And beside the safe spaces, shelters, and
You talk
law
about
enforcement officers, we equally have civil society organizations that provide some of those services to calm the situation down before looking for a new way out that will enable you to rewrite your shattered life scripts. And above all else, we should not say we are dying because of ignorance. The laws are there to protect you. All you need to do is to come closer to the services of government, especially the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, wherever you find yourself, because the services have been decentralized.
I think the social affairs also.
And social affairs also. You can go there for you to be sufficiently counseled on what step to take in such situations.
Yes, Barrister, I have examples not to give here, but I tell you, I know so many examples of women who had violence, economic, physical, psychological from their husbands, and they reported to the social services of this country, and the men were brought to their knees. I have so many examples. We cannot talk about people in a public space like this.
Yes.
But let us finish with this case.
That's
of,
an applause to the activities that the government is carrying
Yes,
out.
let us finish with the case of
to see that they redress
of Carlin. The
those,
case of Carlin,
violences.
she became successful.
Yes.
But in Cameroon, if you did that here, you get up, you're battered by your husband, you get up, pack your things, take your children away. He will take you to court and win you.
Yes.
They call it you have abandoned.
She was fortunate.
Well, it's her environment. I
It's
think.
environment.
Yeah,
Firstly,
it's a matter of environment.
Just a minute, Killian. Why did she leave? She had the idea. She had the notion.
She was empowered.
She was empowered that in this case, in trying to reduce the violence gap, you should first of all make a brief displacement. And she made it, and in trying to wait for some reconciliatory moods that did not come, she had to engage now into activism to see into it that she acts like a ladder to other women to get out of such lethargic positions.
Very
Gillian,
good.
I would love to add, this is where the Bible verse which says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge takes all of its sense. Because we did not know until now, I did not know that there is a safe space where women could go to in this country while waiting for their husbands to cool off.
Cool off, yeah.
But also, there are many men who will let you cool off, and then when you come back, you're still thrashed. You will go and come back and you're still beaten, and beaten to death. Because men, many men, were taught that you are the man. Or maybe when they were growing up, they saw their fathers beating their mothers. And they said, okay, this is what a man needs to do in order to sit his authority, in order to say that I am the man in this house.
So you're out to change the paradigm.
That is what should
So
be done.
what-
We
yes.
should empower women.
Yes.
We should tell women that it is not because you're in this man's house that you are nothing
Yeah.
or that you have to settle for less. We're not saying that you should run away.
No.
But when it comes to physical violence, move. If you don't move, you die. And who loses? You, your kids, your family? Because the man will come to your wake keep with another woman
Of course.
and still thrash her the next day. And nobody would do anything about it.
Yes,
You're making a
Killian.
caricature of that situation. Anyway,
Okay,
yes, it's serious. Mrs.
yes,
Kamga, tell us, you a founder of 300 Women Voices for Development. How many women voices have you projected? And then how many have you developed?
300.
We have projected and developed more than 300 women voices. When we talk about 300 women voices, a lot of people ask me this question: what is it all about 300 women voices? Kelly, I want to say that it came as a result of the fact that if you stay in Cameroon, we have many languages that we speak in Cameroon. And so, when I did some research, I understood that our languages get towards almost 300 in Cameroon. So I was like, okay, in order to have access into the community, you need to speak the language. How can you go to the community to tell these women who are ignorant of the fact that when somebody is beating you, it's violence against women, or it's violence against gender-based violence? How do you tell these women in the grassroots? You need to go in, you need to access that community. I need to access that community with a particular language, maybe, to tell them in the language they understand, to say, okay, when somebody is doing this, it is violence and you don't need to be in that situation. So that is how 300 women came. So with the voices, we've been able to impact more than 300 women voices, more than 300 women in Cameroon. Then in all the regions, because 300 women voices have focal points all over Cameroon. We don't only deal with gender-based violence, even though that's one of our standpoints. We advocate for young girls, we promote young girls in education. We advance women in entrepreneurship, because if you don't advance the women, if you don't bring the women into entrepreneurship, they will be economically violated. As you just said, if somebody have to leave the house, the man, and he gives the woman nothing, or he gives the woman 1,000 francs, that you take this for the whole day to feed the family, how do you expect that woman to do? I think that woman needs to, we try to teach them to do something that is going to sustain them, in order that they should not be violated.
Where are you based? How do they get to you? And then what do you advise those who are in such situations?
Yes. We advise women who are under violence, who are experiencing gender-based violence especially, to come to us, the civil society organization.
And there are many in Cameroon.
There are many all over all the regions of Cameroon. Get to us, 300 Women Voices. Go online. Check on our Facebook page, 300. We have a website, 300 Women Voices. Or you call me, the coordinator and founder of the 300 Women Voices. And we also partner with other organizations, and we try to see how to resolve this situation.
I would not like to substitute myself to Killian, but is that only for physical violence?
No, it's not only for physical violence, even for emotional violence. That is what, like, when we talk about economic violence, it's emotional or psychological.
So if I'm at my job site and I'm told that, Diana, you cannot do this because you're a woman, I can come to you?
Yes,
That,
you can come to me.
Diana, as a journalist, tell us, have you experienced, suffered any violence?
More than a time.
Can you share with us? And how you overcame that type of violence?
Well, as a woman, I went through violence the first time, I think it was in 2018. I had barely delved into the journalism world. And there was a list of people who were supposed to go to Central Africa to represent the media where I work. And then my name was stricken off because they said, Diana just had a baby. She cannot leave her baby and go to Central Africa. Secondly, she's a woman. Women don't go on those kind of trips. And I was like, excuse you? My baby was 1 year old. I wasn't breastfeeding him. He had a father. I could leave him with his father. Why don't you ask for Diana's opinion before telling her that you cannot go because you're a woman, you cannot go because you just had a child? That is the first violence that I faced in the job milieu. Secondly, you and I are covering a certain case together. And I was told that I could not cover that case because I was a woman.
I'm aware.
Yes.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Exactly. But I had to run, I had to fight and tell my boss I am able to do this. I can do this. I have read. I have documented. I have documented evidence that I can do this job. I have proven myself in many other cases. Why can I not do this particular one? Give me a chance. Let me prove myself after 1, 2, 3 audiences. If I'm not good, sweep me out.
Now, two things. We've talked about a case. It's not a conversation amongst us. The Martinez Zogo assassination case in the military tribunal. That's the case you're talking
Exactly.
about. Now, the first one, I have a question for you. You had for the first case, 1-year-old baby boy, and they said was young.
No,
Don't
they
you
said
think
I
that-
just had a baby.
Yeah.
So I was carrying my baby like this, but he was walking already.
The second thing is that, Central African Republic is a war zone. Well, there's a rebellion there that has persisted. Don't you think that it was a way of protecting you by not letting you go to a war zone?
Killian, I am a journalist. And when I'm a journalist, I do what journalists do. Would you tell Christian Amanpour not to go to Russia? No, you wouldn't. Because she has proven that she can do those things. Why don't you let others prove themselves before saying, no, you are a woman and you... But don't tag me a woman. I'm a journalist first.
Well, it's not a discussion.
And that's not...
It's not a discussion, but let me tell you, I have been in war zones. Not actually
That's
war.
not protecting me. Let me have my own experience.
Crisis zones in Cameroon, conflict zones in Cameroon, where you have basically is military, is security. It is difficult for a woman, to be very frank with you. It is difficult.
Let a woman go there, and then you tell a woman you see that you were not supposed to go there because you cannot shower for 3, 4, 5 days. You see that you cannot go there because you cannot change your pad. You see that you cannot go there. But let me have my own experience on the ground.
Agreed. But if something happens to you, the person who sent you there will take responsibility.
Can the thing not happen to a man?
Killian, why?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
let's continue with the discussion.
So when you say if something happens to her, with the law that protects her as a journalist protects you, the man, also as a journalist. So we need our voices. We need to speak out. She needs her voice to be heard. That, okay, this female journalist covered this event, and she did it with a man like Killian, and that's the equality.
And
we are
she did
talking
it well.
about. And
Now-
she did it well.
Now, that is exactly where there is a problem when it comes to that. That's not our focus, but it's a very important point you are bringing up. More women today are talking about equity, not about equality. Equity also even gives advantage to a woman, that if the woman can do it 150 times more than a man, we should have 150 more women than men. In case of war, what I am telling you, when you even just look at your morphological makeup, you know that there are certain things, certain places you cannot jump. A man can jump. I have hard substance in terms of body. So that is just what we are talking about. We are talking about equality, equity. Don't you think that just by using that case, when you are advocating for equality, you should go for equity? Where you do more, you should be giving more. Now, in her case, I, as a man, have gone to crisis zone. It is difficult for women.
I have been
The
to the
women.
crisis zone too. And I have covered, and I've come back safe.
And out of that, Killian,
Well,
not dead.
they are,
that's not
they
our
are military
discussion.
women. They are also on the war
Thank
zone.
you.
I work with military more than you. Let's drop that topic. Now, we are going to you, Barrister Roland Panje. What are the legal provisions that we have in Cameroon to protect violence against women? I know that's your domain, and you are also, I should say this without blinking, an official in the Ministry of Women's Empowerment in the Family.
Yes, you've rightly said so. There are several instruments in Cameroon that protects violence in general and violence against women and children in particular. International instruments and regional prescriptions protect women, like the UN charters, the conventions, and other instruments that protect the rights of the child. You have CEDAW, that's the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against the Woman. In Cameroon, we have the Constitution, our ground norms, which tells us that nobody should be treated with annihilation. That is, you should not be secluded. What is happening to the male should equal happen to the female in terms of functions, appointments, career, job descriptions, and all those things involved. But I would like to trickle it down to, say, two different forms of legislation. First, the labor code gives the woman all the rights to overcome economic violence, because what happens to a male in a ministry is equally what happens to
What should happen?
the female, because all of them have gone to the same schools, they have had the same experiences, they've had training. So it should not come out at the point of remuneration and you start twisting your finger that she's a woman, she does not, who does not need money? Who does not need comfort? Everybody needs it.
Now, with
That
these
is the
laws,
side of the labor code.
Yes.
Let me now just draw your attention to just three provisions of the penal code that protects the woman in its entirety. Before, our legal instruments did not take all those things into consideration. And thanks to the present Minister of Women's Empowerment and the family, the Professor Marie-Theresa Benaundwa, the revised penal code has an article that says that any violence on a woman is punishable. One, she cannot be chased away from her matrimonial home. Two, the woman should not be discriminated against as concerns public services and employment. And the third, whatever violence she is passing through can be reduced to assault occasioning bodily harm, light harm, slight harm, and if you kill her, they will reduce it to murder, manslaughter, malice aforethought, and other ingredients that will pin down that person. And on the side of the child, this same penal code says that a child should not, for whatsoever reason, have an organ taken
mutilated.
off.
Mutilated. Now, thank you.
Secondly, you cannot iron her breast so that it should not sprout as God made it. Allow nature to take its course.
Now, these very lofty measures, legal provisions that you have said, but every day we leave some of these things. What is happening?
We are living like in our preamble, we mentioned of ignorance, that my people die because of ignorance. However, ministries that are in charge of social activities have stepped up their drives on sensitization by providing information, education, training, and communication so that the victim or the woman herself should know her rights and standpoint so that she can efficiently and effectively defend her rights wherever she finds herself.
Now, Carlin, you have the experience of Canada. Now you know what is happening in Cameroon. You should be happy that we have such legal provisions that can help you, help those you want to help. Let me remind our listeners that your organization is IT Consultant. You are the founder of Donamis Helping Hands Foundation. So when you listen to this, how can this help you to help others?
Yes, thank you, Killian, and thank you, Barrister, for that information. This is new to me. I did law before leaving for Canada, and I am happy that the penal code has been revised and it's included these
Clauses
that would help women. You understand? But we need enforcement, because how would this happen if you understand? Because if a woman calls, he says there's the social services has some safe space and some police, like law enforcement that enforce. Yes, I hope that would happen, because say for instance a woman is is being battered, she calls the police. Or if you have this, if there's a number out there, we have 911. You can call 911, and the police will come and they would take away the man, or the abuser, right? Temporarily. Oh, yes, yes. So that, yeah. But here, that's what I'm talking about. Enforcement. These laws are here, but how do they get enforced? How would they know that this man is being abusive and take action? You understand? Because at times the laws are there, but they are not really.
I think there are organizations like yours.
Yes,
to correct.
Now you know we have these.
Yes.
You should not only be whistleblowers.
Yes.
You should even be the people who spearhead.
Yes.
Who push this to be reinforced.
Yes.
So we should not doubt that.
So, Killian, see,
That.
these laws, especially the penal code, it is punishable per se. That is, once it is reported and evidence is proven, it is actionable per se. They don't need to ask you a lot of questions. You just have your 3 years imprisonment or 500,000 francs fine, and you save the time of the courts not to be labeled by asking questions. And secondly, these same civilized laws of Cameroon makes it extremely clear that traditional practices that are repugnant to public policy, statutes, and human rights shall not be recognized by our law courts. Take, for instance, the issue of
Female genital mutilation,
mutilation
for example.
as a tradition. Anybody exercising on it, you are already a prisoner for 4 years. But now,
I
the
think that
question
can
is-
be classified as extreme violence.
People report
so the question is now, if you don't report before, the court will have no rights. But this new,
Before, what do you mean by
the law
report
before
the
this
law-
penal
the
code
courts
was
will
changed,
Yes,
if you don't report, no action.
yes.
But now, an observer, a neighbor who sees it, can report, and it will be actionable per se.
Okay,
That
then
is, the law will take its course.
Exactly.
You are being battered. A neighbor can call 119 or any other 1500 to report that in my neighborhood there is a woman who is being battered.
How do we make this work in Cameroon, in Europe, in the Americas? As Carlin has said, you call and the response is rapid.
Immediate.
It is
Very
immediate.
Yes.
But here, do you think that when you call, it is, how do we make this work here? Because it exists, as you say.
Yes, the calls are immediate.
But
Like the authorities
reaction-
of security
People are not aware.
used
Yes.
to tell the population that they cannot put each
Gas.
security officer beside each citizen. Their workforce is
No,
limited.
the person was punished. That does not represent.
Excuse
public-
me, let
No,
me
when the
learn
person who
something.
did that was punished by the same
But
public
now they are
authority.
doing what they call shadowing zones.
Mm.
There are security officers in plain color cloth
Yes.
and some in uniform who are moving in the neighborhood so that they can confront such situations
They don't beat people during the day.
without
In the night.
anybody coming to report. They meet the situation red-handed, and that's what they call in that red-handed
Flagrant delicto.
flagrant delito. It means the whatever that security operative says is taken as truth because he watched it with unaided senses.
Well, I should. I
Don't
should
you
help.
mention
I
that
should help.
violence is happening in the night?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she said.
Barrister, I have
Neighbors can be of help by calling them because
That's what we're saying. That's
You will
what it's
even
supposed
call,
to be.
and then when the police officers get there, the woman will say that no, it was not me, or they were not beating me because she was trying to go.
now
Barrister, I have
those
a
ones
stay
are
there.
What-
subjective.
Listen to what she is saying.
Those ones
That-
are subjective. You don't want your family to be fragmented, so you just have to twist your talk.
Barrister,
We are here
let's come to this
we
issue
are here
of...
to help.
Sorry.
Look at what they are saying. We are
It's
here
our
to
Cameroonian
help these
context.
women like she said before, I'm talking about Dinah,
Yeah.
like Carlin said before, and it happened to her, and she looked for an alternative means to survive. What we are saying is what between the two of you is that when the woman hides it first time, hides it second time,
Yeah.
probably the third time is her dead body that is
Dead
discovered.
body, yes.
Now we are here to see what should be done. How can she come out of this probably and still protect her family? That is the question that we
Women
answer.
should be
Yes, the first
educated.
is that she should report any case of violence. She should be courageous enough
Yes.
and forget about any other considerations. Because now, like this, it is her life that is on the balance. She should either report to the social services, to the forces of law and order, the police, the gendarmes, who will now take steps.
How do you
But in
protect?
the-
Yes,
in
let
the
me come to
situation
you.
where she's
Now
ignorant.
let me come to Carlin
Yes.
and Constance.
Yes.
That's
How
why
do
your
you-
NGO should
Yes,
equally
how do
join
you
the government in
protect-
sensitizing the
How
population.
do you protect a
Women should be
woman
educated.
who leaves her husband in the house and children, comes up to your organization or to the social services and reports you to that place? How do you protect her, that lady who has to go back to that same house? Yes, that's the question I'm asking.
Okay. I wanted to. Who leaves her husband first? We have to understand.
She has not left the husband to go away. The children are still there. She has gone to the social welfare. She has come to your organization to report this type of situation, hoping that you are going to mediate and then let her continue to live with the family.
First, we have to take her. We have to receive her. We counsel her. We have to hear her story. They will counsel her. As I said, we work with other partners. We are not of the justice, or we are not of those that implement the organizations that implement the sanction, or that we take it to court.
Yes.
So we direct such a situation to another organization that is
More competent.
in that aspect.
Yes.
But I was coming back to Barrister for this issue of, let's take example of a child marriage. This child is ignorant. A girl of 13 years that is sent to get married to a man, let me say 30 years. And those things, they happen where we know in Cameroon, some of those regions that we understand. When those marriages are being done, the parents give their consent. This child, I don't know whether she is giving her consent. She knows what she is doing at that time. At a certain point, when she comes to understand that what is going on is not the best for her, she has to run away. Or I want to talk about the parents who send that child to get married at that age. Are they punishable? Because I asked this question to one magistrate one day.
So
and
you
he was-
want Barrister to respond
I will
now?
give her the
Before
answer.
before even it comes to Barrister, I'm not an expert, but I know that most of the fistula cases,
Obstetric fistula.
yes, are because most of, I'm not saying all,
Child
are because
marriages.
of these premature
Young
kind of
people.
marriages. Because the body is not
Early
ready.
pregnancies.
The body is not ready for such actions, for such a relationship,
Of
and then
course.
it ends up destroying
Destroying
the body of. Now,
You see, such marriages are the consequences of a cause. Because if that cause wasn't there, that consequence will not come up. Take, for instance, we are living in.
can you react to what she
That's
raised?
what I'm coming to.
Okay.
Let's take, for instance, that family is poverty stricken. They don't have a lot of means of subsistence. And a rich somebody, I don't want to say, a rich somebody comes to rescue that family from the lethargy of poverty. And the father, and one of the terms of the contract of helping that family was that if you don't pay back within this time, then this your beautiful daughter come to me. And
Barrister, before you
Just a minute,
before you
please.
continue, can we caution any such behavior by even that rich man?
yes,
there
We
a
cannot
law?
caution.
we
that.
have services in the fields, in the subdivision, in chief's palaces, in the division, in the region, and at the central level to provide this information, of which they are providing the information to the population to change that paradigm of childhood marriages.
And then her worry is, should the parents of the child face the law for getting the child into that danger, because it is a danger?
The penal code punishes childhood marriages as well as forced marriages. The problem comes back now to the society, to civil society organizations and other institutions that protect the rights of women and children to bring up the matter by complaining of this or that abuse that they have observed. Take, for instance, the case of female genital mutilation. It is not that mutilator who is the cause. It is the family that takes their daughter to the mutilator to mutilate.
So they
And in carrying out that one,
yes.
the mutilator now
See.
converts it into an income-generating activity.
This is our worry. Should that family that sends it to the mutilator
they be punished?
be punished? That's what
Yes.
she's asking as a question. Okay.
Okay.
The penal code
No,
talks
that's
of
the answer. That's the answer. We'll move on.
anyone who, let me paraphrase, who hinders a human being from enjoying the faculties of a bodily part shall be punished with imprisonment.
Thank you. That-
as from 2 years to 3. Now
That-
it is,
that's
how
the-
do we report that parent? How do we report that
It should be
incisor?
should be report. Yes, should be reported.
So the
should
point
be reported.
is, the new penal procedure code says that anybody who sees it with an unaided senses or hears it with ocular evidence
should report.
is
You should
habilitated to
even just
report.
report when you hear the investigation. Investigators will do the rest, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we don't have much time left. They're telling me that we have 4 minutes left.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
I'm going to.
It's been-
I'm going to
I
come
hope we
to
have
you,
part
Carlin Thompson. You're going to tell us, what do we take home? What do you advise those who go through violence to do?
Yeah, first things first, like I had said, if it's physical violence, first things first, we have family members. You have, like Barrister said, there's the social services. Report that. And then my organization is there, Constance's organization is there, like you can call me. I'm on WhatsApp now, and I'll give my WhatsApp number. You can call me. But first things first, get out of that situation to calm down. And then I would advise each and every woman to try and educate themselves, empower themselves. First, that is what would help you. Because if I did not empower myself, I wouldn't be able to give back, right? So, but that is my take from this. And also, I just want to touch a little bit on the child marriage.
Yes.
That is rape, I would say. And in Canada, you go to prison and then you get on there's a registered list of people. You don't live around where kids are.
Very good.
Yes,
I
thank
like
you.
that. We don't have much time left.
Okay.
Now, there's something we have not touched on, talking about violence. African values, there are some that are good. At one time, in those days, I didn't experience myself by my parents, and when I say my parents, people the ages of my parents, when your husband beat you, you ran to the husband's parents' house. If it was too bad, you ran to your own parents' house, and they came to arrange the situation. Why can we also activate that today instead of running away?
Thank you, Killian. I think.
Do you have that as an option in your counseling?
Of
process?
course, because they say run to the nearest safe space.
Yes.
Yes, you have to first run to the nearest safe space so that you don't encounter that violence anymore. So you must have to, maybe sometimes the most safest place at that time is the family, the other family members, like the in-laws. You rush there and you stay there for some time, or a friend that you know that can keep you. Sometimes we tell people to go to the police, even though it's difficult, but we advise them to go to the police. But come to us after a come to us, and we'll tell you what to do.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Dinah. I think you should not even run to a friend. You should run to your husband's house, father's house. If they are good people, you know them.
That's if they like you.
Yeah, well, that's them.
But sometimes you even run there, they tell you, le mariage on support. Rentre chez ton mari. Go back to your husband's house. What will you
But
do?
that's an evidence already that they didn't solve the problem. Yes.
Women
Yes.
should be educated.
Yes.
They should educate women that this or this is wrong. And when you see this, it's red light.
Okay.
You should be able to go away. They should communicate. Colin spoke about 911 out there. And then Barrister said, here we have 1500.
Yes.
Maybe after
I
a
also
program
take this
like
opportunity.
this, they should put an advert and say, call 1500 in case of battery.
Yeah.
1500 is the police number when there's corruption, there are some dangers. You call that Cameroonian police. It's
So it means that we
1500.
don't actually have a number.
No. You also have the gendarmerie. 113. That's 113. You call if you are suffering from anything. You call. They give your identity and then let them follow up. The rest, you would have done your job.
We should also stop blaming the victims because victims are being blamed a lot. You may have done this and that is why you were beaten.
You were
You
found
were
yourself
dressing
at the
like
wrong
this
place.
and that's
You
why
were
you
short,
were
you put on a
raped.
short dress.
We should
You were
stop
put it on
blaming
the
the
trousers.
victims. They go
Okay.
through a lot already.
So
So thank you.
Organized action
let
plans.
me just say something.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. Just 30 seconds. I accord just 30 seconds if you can
Yes, I
respect
will
that.
even reduce it. Because the issue is just that the fight against gender violence is a process and not a destination. As long as violence is being perpetrated, the government, the policy, the ministry that touches on social
We
affairs and
fail,
women
it's a
will not
process.
relent
Okay.
in condemning such things.
So we cannot
what
say
I
we
just
have
want to
failed.
say,
We
We're
cannot say we
staggering.
have succeeded. We are still in the process of fighting. That's
but
what we say.
with glimmer of successes that are eloquent and speaking.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, and that's is with that we come to the end of this program today, ladies and gentlemen, on which you had Diana Joyce Ngwang, who is a journalist. We had Mrs. Kamga Constance Ndifon, CEO founder of 300 Women Voices for Development. Kalin Tansin is IT consultant, founder of Donamis Helping Hands Foundation, based in Canada, but she's coming back home to make sure that she transfers her experience over there to Cameroon. Barrister Roland Panje, a senior social worker. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you watch us from. And there will be a rebroadcast of this program on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV Premium, and on Wednesday at 9 p.m. after the news in French on CRTV News. On behalf of the production team, I say thanks for watching.